If we are the toys of the gods, are not perhaps the gods themselves mere children? Across the Young Kingdoms, countless people are born, live and die completely ignorant of the cosmic game that goes on about them. Human life is secondary, abstract, and entirely expendable. Today, we will look at those that put no value in life itself. Welcome back to our deep dive into the world of Elric and the Young Kingdoms. Last episode had us navigate the streets of Rifle and looked at how chaos has corrupted the mortal plane. Today we'll be shifting away from our usual travel format and spend some time talking in greater depth about the grand philosophical architecture in Moorcock's universe. I would like to lay down this groundwork even further before we uncover the whole pantheon of chaos. If you feel like I have already touched on these briefly, I understand why you might feel that way, but today we're really going to try and make sense of the grand philosophy of Moorcock. I would really like to know what your personal perspective is on the matter, so I encourage you to leave a comment, and if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like as it helps the channel grow. I have changed my audio setup going forward and I hope to provide a better listening experience for everyone. If you feel as if I earned your subscription by the end of the video, please subscribe. We'll remain in the comfort of our inn. Let's huddle around our dimly lit room in the sinister grim city we found ourselves in, and let's discuss the journey so far. What did we learn about the multiverse? Inspired by our recent journey, we want to get a better grasp on what we know before we continue our journey forward. It will help us make more sense of whatever there is to come. So, let's go over what we know briefly, and let's break it down. We know that law seeks stability and rational progression, which ultimately leads to stagnation. Chaos perpetuates continued, incessant and ungovernable change. In Elric's eyes, chaos ultimately leads to stagnation, as we learn from Stormbringer. And the balance remains in the midst of the two, ensuring neither side fatally overbalances the scales of power. When left unchecked, either of these powers result in destruction and doom. Chaos continues to disassemble, mutate and corrupt, while law represses, codifies, machinates and strangles. Singularly, neither force ultimately sustains life, but when held in equilibrium, life flourishes and prospers. Stability requires balance, so it is that cosmic balance stands above both, checking the sway and list of each across million spheres, attempting to ensure that neither side fatally overbalances the scales. In the Young Kingdoms, neither law nor chaos had the upper hand up until Elric's coronation as the 428th Emperor of Melniboné, the one that ultimately ended it all and made countless attempts to reverse it still. However, his struggle represents the illusion of free will. Every choice he makes is ultimately an illusion. If one world is saved, the scales tip too far in the other direction, requiring more wars to be fought. No matter what reality Elric travels to, an era cannot end peacefully. This type of nuance and conflict is what differentiates Moorcock's work from other literary iterations of law and chaos. While they're traditionally represented as good versus evil, Moorcock has a way more nuanced take which has a deeper commentary on our world, and we can see many parallels with our own environment. Where laws go to create order seems very linear, chaos has a much different plan. Much of Chaos's plan has been hinted at by Orunlu the Keeper to Elric. The book he guards defines the nature of the cosmic struggle and the true plan of chaos. While we might be led to believe that chaos seeks to defeat law completely, that is not entirely true. The book tells us that the forces of chaos understand that should either side keep the scales too much in their direction, it will spell total doom and destruction. They plan to maintain a strategy where they essentially are always at an advantage, but never advance to a stage where complete destruction is guaranteed. Most followers of chaos are not entirely privy to this and are always at a ready to fight law until its total destruction. Still, higher priests and those that possess ancient grimoires understand the desire to perpetuate the eternal struggle, endlessly, except one nation. One nation that, instead of relying on cultists and isolated priests to maintain the profile of chaos, decides to go on an outright warfare, thusly going against the unwritten tenet, and its actions inevitably cause destruction. This is exactly why we sit today behind the doors of our lodging and discuss these matters. As a bleak cloud further covers the city in darkness and we hear the rain begin to grimly pat against the shabby windows, we're reminded of where we are. Rifle, ruled over by a Pantangian sent over here in exile by the theocrat Jagreen Lern. The theocrat that is eventually responsible for tipping the scales too much. There is a irony to it. Pantangians are known to be crude imitators of Melniboné's old ways, but where Melnibonians stirred dark rituals of torture and sacrifice into a type of almost art exhibit in their capital, Imre understood that chaos can be both ugly and beautiful, and built their entire culture around it. Meanwhile, the crude Pantangians tried to imitate their ways by reveling only in the dark and ugly, in the torture and sadism. Elric was warned by Orunlu the Keeper that Pantang's goal in instigating the final battle is not so much to vanquish law, but to emulate the Bright Empire. Elric is also told by Separates that the Jagreen Lern is but a puppet of chaos, and he thinks he can rule over the Dukes of Chaos. Separates also tells Elric that the Theocrat's forces can easily defeat the Southland with minimal effort with the help of chaos, but even without them, he could do it just as well, though it would take more time and effort. Thus, Pantangians made a mistake in their beliefs that Lords of Chaos guarantee power. A mistake Melniboné never made. The Dukes of Chaos are more than content to let the mortals believe that the eternal struggle is purely of one doctrine over another, because it allows the struggle to be perpetuated endlessly. First, the forces of law seek to achieve unconditional victory. While chaos seeks to sustain the fight, law cannot operate without a clear goal. Its path is forthright and linear. Anyone standing in its way is swept aside or crushed. For all its tenets of progress, law is intolerant, inadvertible philosophy bent on a singular domination. If it cannot achieve this, it destroys everything instead. The ultimate goal of law is to end time itself, because time goes hand in hand with change. Because of this, codes of law are far more strident and visible than their chaotic counterparts. In cities like Vilmir, Warmir, and Argimilar, grand gestures engaging in daily decrying anything that appears to reject law's perfect symmetry. Everyone must adhere to law, be it even through the use of persecution, fear, and spite. It is indeed Donblas that tells Elric that the fate of the Young Kingdom is to be destroyed when the horn of fate is blown for a third time. Such total dissolution serves laws ends perfectly. Whereas, had chaos prevailed in the final battle, the Young Kingdoms might still have continued to exist, albeit. We see the intoxicating arrogance of chaos at the end of Stormbringer. Arioch proclaims triumph over law by having the cosmic balance tip too much in the favor of chaos. But shortly after he attempts to recruit Elric, a mortal as a Chaos Lord. He is still treating the situation as an ongoing conflict. His very being cannot comprehend that this would end the struggle, so he attempts to inject a wild variable such as Elric in his ranks. Elric ultimately rejects the offer, but we see a fascinating side of Arioch here. He is one step from declaring a checkmate on the cosmic battle of chess, but essentially decides to just flip the whole chessboard because he's having too much fun playing the game. Ultimately, the bolstering of the Chaos Lords allowed Elric a brief window in which he summons the Brother Blades to attack all physical manifestations of the Chaos Lords and banish them back to their own hell dimension and remove them from the board, while temporarily banished from the material plane. Elric is free to complete his quest without much divine interference. He travels to a parallel realm to retrieve the Horn of Fate Oliphant. He blows the horn 3 times. The first blast awakens the slumbering Melnibonian dragons. The second blast broke the barrier encapsulating Earth, allowing both Chaos Lords and Lords of Law to manifest once again, and an apocalyptic battle between the two happened. The third blast of the horn was the most difficult one to make for Elric, but it wiped the slate clean, and the world is unmade. The gods are swept away, and the cosmic balance resets to a form, a new cycle which eventually becomes our modern Earth. As the code rain continues to beat against our locked window, now darkness completely encompassing the city, the grand terrifying picture of the multiverse finally comes into focus. Today we explore the eternal struggle between chaos and law, and we begin to better grasp the philosophy of Moorcock's world. Our next episode will be completely devoted to the Dark Gods themselves, a massive deep dive into the full pantheon of the Chaos Lords. We'll explore all their horrific aspects and witness unimaginable world-breaking powers that they wield from their hell dimensions. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and leave your comments down below. If you feel as if I misrepresented something, let me know and I'll address it in a following video. And as always, make sure you subscribe to explore the rest of Moorcock's world with me, and be aware that the journey will be long and perilous, and I'll be glad to have you with me.